Hi, Janice.
Hello.
Yeah.
Just let me know if you'd like me to start.
Can we start now? Yes.
Sure. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me, everyone. My name is Deborah Jennings, and I am the owner of HouseMaster Home Inspections serving Northern California. Can everybody hear me okay, hopefully?
Yes.
Okay, great. I have a presentation. I'll share with you a little bit more about HouseMaster as well as home inspections in general. And as we go through, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt, or I have the chat window open. Hopefully I can see that. I will have spaces where I'll pause for questions, but I don't want anybody to forget their questions, so feel free to interject. I will share my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, slideshow. You can tell I do this all the time. Not. Okay. So this is Introduction to HouseMaster at Home Inspections, serving Northern California, as well as home inspections in general. HouseMaster, this location has been in business since 1999. I actually took over from the owner who had it for that whole time in 2019, just in time to start with COVID. So that was fun. But we made it through that, and we're doing well. I have 6 inspectors as well as an office manager. Some of you may have spoken with Valerie, our office manager. We have 2 full-time and 4 part-time inspectors, and they were all with the previous owner, so that is fantastic that they stayed on with us. Very experienced. We do have, of course, liability and E&O insurance and that sort of thing, in case anyone is concerned about that. We serve a wide area of Northern California. I didn't choose that name. We're not quite as far north as I think we should be to have that name, but so basically our main office is in Hollister. So we serve that area as well as south of there. We also go up into San Jose, Silicon Valley, all throughout that area, over, even out east into Pleasanton. San Francisco area, of course, including the city. We go up into Oakland, Richmond, and across over towards Antioch as we head towards Sacramento, Elk Grove, all that whole area around Sacramento, including Vacaville, kind of out there towards going towards Napa, as well as down into parts of the San Joaquin Valley, including Stockton, Tracy, Modesto, that sort of thing. As I said, we have 6 inspectors, and they do a lot of driving. So let me put it that way. If you're never sure, we do have on our website, we have a list of all the counties and cities that we serve. If you're not sure, just give us a call or email, and we'll let you know if we service that area. There are other HouseMaster home inspection offices in California, including one in the East Bay and a new one up in Sacramento. So if we can't do the service soon enough, or we don't serve that area, I would certainly refer you to one of the other offices. HouseMaster is actually founded in 1971. So it's been around for over 40 years. And recently, a couple of years ago, was acquired by Neighborly, which is a huge home services brand that's growing all the time. HouseMaster itself was the first home inspection franchise in the United States and Canada. And then we now have, I think that number is probably closer to 400 locations now throughout the US and Canada. As I said, we are part of Neighborly. So I love this slide because there are a lot of brands in Neighborly, and I think the slide is even missing a few of the more recent acquisitions. So the goal of Neighborly is to own the home or to be your hub for home services. So as you can see, there's probably some brands here that you recognize, everything from painting to window installation, window cleaning, appliances, maid services, plumbing, electric, that sort of thing. So we are one of those brands in Neighborly. And we are the only home inspection brand in Neighborly. They try not to duplicate brands, which is great. So back to our inspectors that we have, the existing ones, if we bring on new ones, they'd be trained and certified by NIBI, which is the National Institute of Building Inspectors. That was also founded by the founder of HouseMaster. He really was a pioneer in this industry. We do, in addition to their initial certification, which includes coursework, passing the National Home Inspectors exam, as well as a number of co-inspections with experienced inspectors. Unless I think that number is around 50 before they can go out on their own. We do require annual recertification. We have online training available, and many of the inspectors belong to other organizations, ASHI or CREA, for example. And then we also have a great support system from our other HouseMaster inspectors across the United States and Canada, and as well as our trainers who are very, very experienced. So if there's something we haven't seen or something we're not sure about, we reach out to them and usually can get an answer back pretty quickly. And we also have an annual conference, as well as regional conferences. So with regard to how this would all affect you and how it worked for you, if you ordered a home inspection from us, our particular office, we have an 800 number. It's the same number that we've had before with the previous owner, so that was great. We have, I said, Valerie and myself answer emails or pick up the phone. We have our website. You can go to housemaster.com and put in your zip code, and if it's an area that we serve, will come up. Or you can go directly to the nwcal.housemaster.com. There is a form on that website where you can just submit real quick your zip code that you're looking for the inspection and your name and your email, and we'll get back to you. There's also a chat box. So there are a number of ways to reach us and request an inspection. Once we schedule the inspection with you, have your client information, your information, then we are very good about communicating. We send email confirmations to everyone. We send, if we have your mobile number, we'll send text reminders, confirmations, and reminders the day before and the day of. And the confirmations with email include a link to pay online, which is something that most people choose to do. Or there's also an inspection agreement that we need signed by the client, and that can be signed online as well. And then it just has some general guidelines, which I'll go through in more detail, but how a client, whether it's a seller or a buyer, but especially for the sellers, we're coming into their home, and there's certain things that make it a little easier for us, how they can help us get through that inspection a little bit quicker and a little bit easier. So you schedule the inspection. We can usually take inspections, especially this time of year. It's a little bit slower. We could do as soon as the next day or the day after, or we could, we'll schedule them out as far out as you'd like. On inspection day, the inspector will arrive, and he will first look at the exterior and the roof, and then work his way inside, everything from the attic to the foundation, the interior, windows, walls, doors, floors. He's going to look at the major systems, which would be, if I can remember these, heating and cooling, plumbing, electric, and your water heater. And if the buyer or seller, whoever we're doing the inspection for, or yourself, if you're there, he's happy to answer questions. Sometimes he will defer to wait until you get the report and then see if that, because they don't want to misspeak, and we make sure that they don't misspeak or lead anyone astray. So the written report, sometimes they will defer to that. But then after that, if you have any specific questions or more detailed questions, we can talk to you about those. So after the inspector does the inspection, they go back, they complete the report in 24 to 48 hours. 24 is obviously our goal. That doesn't always happen, but 48 is definitely on the outside. The report is uploaded to HouseMaster Cloud, which is our system for storing reports. You'll get an email as the agent of record. The client will get an email, and that email will have a link to the specific report. The inspector, like I said, is available for questions, email or phone. Sometimes I can answer those questions as well. And if we need to do a reinspection, those are available. If it's something that was our fault, like we just missed something, or we didn't do a good job inspecting something, we will come back out and do that at no charge. If it's something that, gosh, we couldn't get to that area because it wasn't available, with the crawl space wasn't unlocked, or the attic, for example, then there may be a charge, but it depends if we're in the area. We're not going to charge you for coming when we're driving right by there. So it just depends on the situation. We also can do walkthroughs, which a lot of people don't realize. I know that you work with a lot of sellers, and we do too. We have probably 70% of our inspections that we actually do for home sellers instead of buyers. And a lot of times that report is used by the buyer. They don't have their own inspection. We do recommend they get their own inspection, whether from us or someone else. And if they don't want to, they can have there's a more affordable option for them. We can come out and do a walkthrough with the report we did for the seller and answer any of their questions. And then we can officially transfer the report to the buyer so that they do have some protection and they do take ownership of that report. And then if there's any problems in the future, we can say, yes, we recognize you as the buyer, and we can work with you to resolve those problems or those issues. After the report comes out, we do follow up with emails. I follow up via email with every new agent or person, in the agent role that has contacted us and scheduled an inspection. I follow up with clients and ask them kindly for a review. We are on all these websites for reviews, and we'd love to see reviews. Obviously, if you didn't have a great experience with us, or your customer didn't reach out to me first, we'll see if we can handle that outside of the review system. But we do love to have good reviews, and even constructive feedback is always welcomed. There is also an automatic email that goes out. I think it's to every 3 or every 5 customers that just goes out from our system that will also ask for feedback. So that's in addition to myself reaching out. Any questions so far? Okay, so regarding home inspections in general, I apologize if some of this is basic to you, but there are a lot of misconceptions about home inspections, and this is a good opportunity to make sure everybody's on the same page. So the primary objectives of a home inspection, whether it's for the buyer or the seller, is to inspect visible and readily accessible. Those are 2 very important terms: visible, readily accessible, major house elements. And we're looking at the physical condition, age and that sort of thing, any damage. We're looking at the performance, if it's something that needs to work or turn on, and also any safety issues. Safety is a big one. So again, the key there is visible. We can't see through walls. We can't see into a slab foundation, obviously. Readily accessible, that means the crawl space, we need to be able to access it. The attic, the water heater needs to be clear and that sort of thing. The roof, if we cannot walk on the roof, sometimes we can't, either because of the type of roof tile, for example, or it's too high or it's too steep, we will inspect from the ground, and we'll note that in the report that that's how we did the inspection. And then the purpose, the resulting report is basically an unbiased professional opinion from the inspector. Like I said, some of my inspectors have more than 20 years experience. Some of them have 5. But they all can make mistakes, and they all do good jobs. So it's one of those businesses where you're always learning. And even the guy with 20 years experience is going to learn something new or come across something he hasn't seen. So the other thing to keep in mind is we're talking about the current condition of the home and the inspected elements. Not talking about future. A lot of people are concerned because, well, you inspected the home 6 months ago, and now this issue, well, depending on what it is, conditions could have changed. The report is really meant to represent the current condition of the home and the items that were inspected. If we can't inspect something, we will tell you we could not inspect that, and we'll either make arrangements to go back, or we'll just let you know that that area was not available. Same thing for partially. A lot of times people have stuff in their garage. I'm guilty of that. They may have stuff in the attic. So we'll let you know that, we couldn't see every inch of that area. The benefits of a home inspection, I'm sure, preaching to the choir, this. That's basically to help a buyer make an informed decision because they don't know what they're getting into, and they're investing a lot of money, especially in our markets. It's also seller inspections are really big in the Bay Area. As you know, they are not so big in other parts of the country or even in some of the other markets that we serve, which is interesting and unfortunate because, for sellers, basically, you're going to take a lot of the surprise out of selling your home. And even if you're not selling your home and if you just want to see, what might need to be repaired, what needs maintenance, what is going to, is your water heater going to die sometime soon? I mean, we can't tell you whether it's going to die or how long it's going to last, but we can tell you, it's 10 years old. You should budget for a new one, that sort of thing. So definitely with sellers in the Bay Area, they get this. The agents get this. It's a good thing to have a seller inspection, avoid those surprises and know what you're putting on the market and what things people might find in their inspection. That don't want that to be a surprise. So again, I mentioned some of the misconceptions. So a home inspection is not a pass-fail. We try to avoid the verbiage, you failed your home inspection or you passed your home inspection, because it's really not a pass-fail. It's just a better understanding of the current conditions of the home. Every home has problems, even brand new ones. It's not a to-do list for the home seller. So if you're the buyer, you can come in and say, I want every little nitpicky thing fixed, but that's probably not going to happen, especially in this market. And it's not meant to be that. It's meant to educate the buyer on the current potential, of the issues that are there. It's not technically exhaustive. This is another one that confuses people. Again, we can only inspect visible, readily accessible elements. There is a pretty long paragraph in our inspection report and in our inspection agreement that pretty much outlines all the things that we do not inspect. Things like, we're not going to sample your water quality, your air quality. We're not going to look for mold. Obviously, if we see mold, we're going to say there's mold, but it's not going to be a mold test. Another good one for this area is we do not do pest inspections or termite inspections. We are not licensed to do them. If we see something, we will say something, but we will mostly just recommend that you have a licensed pest inspection company doing their own inspection. It's not code compliance. So a lot of times people will be like, well, you didn't call this out, or you just code. We don't know code. We service 100 different cities, and no, even if you service one city, a home inspector does not inspect a code. That is the job of the code enforcement from the building inspection department of that city. It's not an engineering analysis, soil study, as I mentioned. It's not an energy survey or audit, although we are looking into adding that as a separate report. I would certainly let you know if and when we do that. It's not an appraisal. Some consumers are confused about that. It's not an appraisal. And it's not, as I said, a pest inspection. There are some home inspectors that also have that ability to do that, and that licensing and certification, we do not. So on that note, we like I said, we don't do pest inspections, even termite, but we can schedule it for you. And that's how we try to serve you better as agents and your clients as well. We have several companies that we work with throughout our areas. And if it's helpful for you to schedule that for you, because ideally we can try to coordinate it at the same time as our inspection, we're happy to do that. It's no charge to you, no charge to the other company. Basically, we'll schedule it, we'll send you their information, and we'll send them your information and the client's information. And then from there, if there's any additional scheduling, we can coordinate that, need to cancel or reschedule or something. But after that, you get the report directly from them, and then you pay them directly. But if there's an issue there, again, come to us and we'll see what we can do to help. So even though, so this has been an interesting year for real estate, as you all know. The current market, sellers do have an advantage still. I just was reading today that I think interest rates, they said, we're going to fall again, which is good news for sellers and buyers. As I touched on before, if you do if you're putting your home on the market, you want to present in the best light. There can be tiny little things, a light bulb that's out, or just something that's not very expensive to fix. And every little thing like that can add up if there's a lot of them when somebody's looking at your home, especially if they're considering, many other homes. So a pre-listing inspection done for the seller demonstrates transparency. Look, I did this inspection. I'm showing you the current condition of my home. That goes a long way and prevents surprises that could delay a sale. basically what I just said. You want to minimize those buyer negotiations. Again, we do recommend the buyer does their own inspection just for their own protection. But at least we can do a walkthrough with them and transfer that report to them for a small fee. It's much less than a separate inspection. In this market, you know, if your seller inspection was 3 weeks and then now the buyer is walking through, it's not impossible that something significant would have changed in that time period, but it's probably unlikely. So, but certainly in previous markets where you could have a house in the market for like 6 months, I mean, obviously a lot can happen in 6 months. This buyer's gonna want to get their own inspection. And also helps, pre-listing inspection will help sellers because they are supposed to do the seller disclosure, but sometimes there's things they don't know about. So a buyer could come back, you know, months after buying the house and say, well, this is a big issue and it wasn't on your disclosure. Well, maybe they didn't know about it, but if it's something that we inspect and report on, that lets them know that something's going on there, and it reduces their potential liability for someone saying they should have disclosed something they didn't know about. I see a question here. Thank you, Kaibo. If you find some mold issue visually, we do put it in the report. Yes. Yes. We will say because we're not mold experts and we're not doing a mold test, we'll word it such as there appears to be mold or some kind of mold substance or some kind of growth, you know, organic growth, and recommend. Right now, we do not offer mold inspections, but yeah, we would recommend that you would have a mold test. Sorry. And let's see. Any other questions? Okay.
So if the mold issue is found, then the seller just like do some something to fix it, and would there be another inspection, or what do we usually do for that?
That's a good question. Whether it's mold or anything like that, if the seller wants to, and I didn't mention this before, if the seller wants to have a reinspection of the items that were listed on the report as an issue, we can certainly come back out and do reinspection and confirm that those items were addressed, whether it's mold or something else. I'm not very familiar with what it would take to mitigate mold. That would probably be a general contractor thing, and you know, I'm sure there would be some cleaning and then some painting and that sort of thing. So it'd be easier for us to visually tell that it was addressed. And we do that a lot. We go back out and update reports for people because, you know, some sellers, they want their report to be perfect, even though it's not a pass fail, but, you know, they want to put their best foot forward, and they do go ahead and do those repairs and address those issues. And we go back out and update the report.
So when additional trip is required, then the seller needs to pay some extra for that, right?
It would typically be a reinspection fee. That's usually around $200 for the Bay Area, let's say, compared to an initial inspection fee of $600. If it's a long list of things, we would definitely charge that fee. If it's just a couple of things, we'd probably just charge a trip fee. You know, help cover gas and that sort of thing. We try to work with you, and especially if we work with you all the time, you know, we're going to be more lenient on that. I was going to say something. Yeah, so we would update the report. You would get a new report that would show that clean slate. Oh, sometimes we have also just accepted like a photo or a video. If it's like one specific thing and it's easy to tell with the photo or the video that it was addressed, we'll accept that as well and amend the report. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so again, in a little bit more depth, what we inspect, the roofing. We're going to be looking at the estimated age of the roof, which is an educated estimate. We're going to be looking at, especially with the roof, areas for water intrusion and obviously any damage. Looking at the gutters and that sort of system and the downspouts flowing away from the house. Exterior, we look at the foundation, especially the slope away from the house. If there's any cracks, there's good cracks and there's bad cracks. And honestly, I can't tell you the difference, but my inspectors could. there's cracks that I shouldn't say good, but they don't matter as much as other ones. If there's a crawl space, we're going to go in the crawl space and we're going to check that out. Look for, any underlying issues there that could affect the stability of the house, or insulation, that sort of thing. Anything else outside? Safety issues, driveway, sidewalk, tripping hazards, that sort of thing, loose porch rails. If there's steps, there's certain height requirements of the steps and width requirements of the actual step itself, that sort of thing. In the inside, obviously, like I said, we're looking at the windows, walls, doors, floors. We're looking at the electrical outlets, outside as well with the outlets. We're looking at your kitchen and bathroom. In the kitchen, we will inspect or ensure basic operation of installed appliances. So your dishwasher, your stove, or your oven, and if you have an installed microwave. We typically do not ensure operation of refrigerators or clothes dryers and washers. We can certainly do that if that's requested before the inspection. In the bathroom, we're looking obviously for leaks or any sort of thing like that. We're looking for the toilet and the shower and the sink, the water flow and operation. Also, this is one I didn't know until I joined this business. We're looking for if the toilet is loose, and surprisingly, a lot of times the toilet is loose where it's affixed to should be affixed to the floor, and that can cause can be an area for leaks. Again, in all these inside and outside, always looking for safety issues. If there's a fireplace, we will do a basic, what they would call a level 1 fireplace and chimney inspection, which just means, is the chimney look like it's going to fall over? Does it have damaged brick and that sort of thing? Does it have the right sort of flashing around the base of it that's going to deter water from getting in? Inside, is there a lot of creosote buildup on the fireplace itself? Is the hearth in front of it, big enough that if a spark flies out, it's not going to catch something on fire, that sort of thing. There are companies that do more invasive or more level 2 and 3 fireplace inspections. We do not do that. Again, that's something I'm looking at adding, but that would require specific training. If it's a gas fireplace, and we typically do not ignite, we do not inspect it for ignition. That is just a standard home inspection safety thing. Anything with gas, you got to be a little careful. So, but we will note that on the report. Heating system, cooling system, of course, basic operation of that. Age, should the buyer, be reserving money for that because it's 20 years old, that sort of thing. Electrical system, we look at the panel, we look at the specific things there related to electric and the age and just wiring, how it's wired. Same thing with plumbing. We're going to look at any visible pipes, test the operation of sinks and faucets and that sort of thing. We can't see plumbing in the walls. I wish we could. So if there's any obvious leaks or potential leaks, we will call those out. Plumbing is one of those areas that, gosh, I wish we really could see through walls and know what's happening because, a visual inspection, even a plumber without tearing into your wall is not going to be able to tell where a leak is coming from. So that one's a little tricky, but, and I do want to say that, oh, I lost my train of thought again. I'll come back to it. We do inspect attached garages. If it's, let's say, a townhome or condo or even a house and the garage isn't attached, but you want us to inspect it, we will do that. That's included in the fee. It's not extra. Of course, we look in the attic, which is the underside of the roof. So that's important, as well as things like framing and insulation, water intrusion, does the fan work, that sort of thing. I mentioned the bathrooms. We do pool and spa inspections. Those are basic inspections. I have a specific list of what we inspect when it comes to pool and spa. I'm happy to send that to anyone. That is with a home inspection, it is an additional $50. Otherwise separate, it's like $100. We do detached structures, including sheds, additional garages, that sort of thing. Another building on the property, ADUs. And as far as general types of homes. We do single family homes, condos, townhomes, mobile homes. I think that's it. So when we're dealing especially with sellers and everyone, we want them to be in the loop on the date and the time of the inspection. The length, depending on the type of inspection, will be anywhere from an hour to 3 hours, unless it's a huge property, a huge home. The date and time are very important. We've recently started asking, for example, if you schedule an inspection and you're the seller's agent, we're going to want your information. We're going to want your client's name and phone number and email. And we only use that, we only use that for the report, and then for some related services that can be opted out of by the consumer afterwards. We don't sell that information. We don't sell your our personal information of our clients or our agents. And we've also been asking for the other agent's information, because we found sometimes when maybe we're working with a listing agent and they've told the buyer's agent when the inspection is, but let's reverse that. The buyer's agent, they've told the seller's agent, when the inspection is and what day, but maybe the people that are in the home didn't get the message and they're still there and they're having breakfast in the kitchen and somebody's taking a shower, and so we want to make sure that everybody is in the loop on the date and time of the inspection, sellers and buyers and all agents. Especially for sellers, or occupants. Here's where I'm saying we might have to come back if we can't get to certain things. If we will inspect the garage, and like I said, 90% of the time you can't see every wall because people have stuff in there. That's just normal. But we will inspect the garage door and that sort of thing, any electrical outlets. And we'll let you know what we could or couldn't see. Same thing with attics, crawl spaces. If we couldn't get in there all the way, we had to inspect from the hatch, we'll let you know. Water heaters, another thing that kind of collects clutter around it. So clear that out, clear out ovens. So a lot of people keep stuff in there and sometimes they forget to take it out. We are technically not supposed to touch it. So if you're there, we'll ask you, or your client is there, we'll ask you to please take it out. But we're not supposed to do that ourselves, obviously, for liability reasons. And then under sinks is another place where everybody likes to keep stuff, myself included. So just kind of make sure that we can have clear access to all those areas. And that's something we're trying to do a better job of reminding sellers to do as well. Utilities need to be on. I think you guys all know that. We can't do an electrical inspection if there's no power. Similarly, there's some furnaces or something like that, the water heater, if the gas isn't on, we cannot turn it on. The water is another good one. Well, here's the main switch, just turn it on. You can turn it on, we cannot turn it on. It's not allowed for home inspectors to turn any utilities on, even if the switch is right there. Pets, obviously, we love dogs and cats, but make sure they're out of the way, so nobody gets scared or hurt or anything. Obviously we're moving away from masks and that sort of thing, luckily. But if we have to go back to that, we would obviously respect that. And then if you need to reschedule, just notify our office, even if it's the same day. Usually we can catch the inspector before they jump in their car, and there's not a fee to reschedule. Stuff happens, There's not a cancellation fee either, although we hope that it doesn't get permanently canceled, but there's not a fee for that. A few of the limitations that we might have, like I mentioned, the roof height and slope. This roof, for example, in this photo would not be one that we would walk on because that would be very dangerous. We typically have normal size ladders. We may not have big, huge ladders that a roofing company has. So we will inspect from the ground with binoculars. If we cannot reach there's not a good access point to the roof, or if we can't walk on it, for example, it's too steep or the tile is too fragile or something like that. Attic and crawl space access, I've already talked about that. Sometimes we can't get all the way in. Sometimes there's stuff in the attic. Sometimes just the way the attic is built, you can't see everything, and we will tell you that on the report. Excessive clutter. Oh, another big one is maybe the attic hatch, especially in older homes, is in a closet. Well, we can't take stuff out of the closet, so we need the homeowner to do that before we get there, so that we can access that attic hatch. Like I said, we can't turn on the water or the gas or the main electric. We don't do pest inspections. visible, readily accessible, limited time and scope. Those are key. All of this, like I said, is outlined in the inspection agreement, which, you know, the email goes to your client with a copy of that, but if you ever wanted to read it, it's real fun, and I'm happy to send you a copy of that. So a lot of this is outlined in the report itself. The report can be 30 pages long, but that's not 30 pages of things that's wrong with the house. That's because there's a lot of extra supplemental information in there, as well as trying to really set expectations on what we're looking at when we're inspecting and what we're not looking at, so that everybody knows. And we do, ASHI, the American Society of Home Inspectors, is a big nationwide organization for home inspectors. We do refer to their standards of practice as far as what we can and can't do, and we follow those as closely as we can. As far as the HouseMaster report itself, we do have a sample report available on our website that you can look at if you haven't seen one before. I can send you one. We try to make the ratings. I've seen other reports and it's kind of confusing. There's a lot of different ratings. Some things, the way things are called out, makes it sound like it's an issue, and really it's just an FYI. So we try to make our ratings pretty straightforward, and they're very clearly marked on the report. Satisfactory. It was fine. We couldn't see anything wrong with it. You know, not guaranteed. Something's not going to go wrong, but we'll cover that later. We do have a guarantee for some of those areas. Fair. It was functional at the time of the inspection, but it might be kind of getting old. That water heater that's 10 years old, we might rate that fair and let you know it's old. Or maybe it was functional, but there was something not right about it. Poor is, we actually don't give out a lot of poors, because I think overall, a lot of the homes we look at, especially being cellar inspections, they're in pretty good shape. But poor is like, yeah, this needs to be fixed. And whether it's fair or poor, a lot of times we'll recommend additional inspections. So if it's something wonky with the electric or the plumbing or something, you know, we're not electricians and plumbers, we're going to recommend that you have an expert come out. Not inspected, couldn't be inspected. Either we couldn't get to it, or it wasn't available, not applicable. Usually our reports are pretty clean. If something's not applicable, it's not on there. And then we always have comments with our fair and poor ratings and photos as well, so that you can see exactly what we're talking about, hopefully. And like I said, we have a lot of supplemental information. So each section of the report, roofing, exterior, foundation, electrical, plumbing, will have several topics underneath the actual rating of that specific property that are just general FYIs related to that to that section of the house. We're working on looking at other ancillary inspections right now. Like I said, the only thing we really offer that would be an ancillary is the pool and spa. We did recently add flood certification reports, which I will go and mention a little bit later. As far as your big ancillary, your termite or pest, mold, water quality, air quality, radon, we do not currently offer any of that, but we are right now looking into if there's anything that we should be offering, that we can capably do, feasibly do a good job at. And so if there's anything, other type of inspection that you're interested in or that you think would have a high demand in your area, certainly let me know. Any more questions? I don't know how we're doing on time. Hopefully, okay. I'm going to explain a little bit more about HouseMaster and why we are different from some of the other home inspection companies. There's a great little video. I'll make sure that I send a link to this video to Stella, along with our price list and that sort of thing. I'm not going to play the video now, but it's a great little video that kind of shows some of the extras that HouseMaster has put together over the years, primarily with buyers in mind, because that is, like I said, for the rest of the country, the home buyers are mostly the clients, but sellers as well. And I keep pushing them to remember that sellers do home inspections too. So, oops, I need to click on it. I'm not going to show it because I don't know if the sound is going to work. So limited repair reimbursement guarantee. I don't know that anybody else besides HouseMaster does this. So if we rate something satisfactory and it falls into one of these categories here, heating, cooling, electric, plumbing, and so your major systems, again, the built-in appliances, your roof covering, foundation, walls, very specific. And we rate it satisfactory on the report. And then 90 days from closing or 120 days from the inspection, there is a problem found with that. We have the ability, I have the ability to cover repairs. Obviously, we're going to verify that that condition or that problem exists, that we didn't report on it. But if we rated it satisfactory, we probably didn't find the condition. And we have the ability to reimburse the buyer or the seller for a portion of those repairs. Sorry about that. That is outside of a normal claim system. In many cases, if I just feel like we didn't do a good job, which unfortunately does happen, not really so much with, we don't really fall down with the inspections themselves or the reports. It's kind of like, oh, the inspector was running late and we didn't really communicate that well enough. Or the inspection report took longer than we would like it to and you would like it to. Just things like that are sort of communication issues. If we fall down, especially on those, I am pretty liberal with refunding inspection fees or partial fees because I don't want anybody to go away unhappy. So that is in addition to, if we made a mistake, like I said, we'll back it up. If we really did miss something, we have the guarantee, and otherwise we can usually work it out between all the parties. The HouseMaster Cloud, there's probably other similar systems out there, but this has been around for a while. This is where your home inspection report is uploaded, so you have access to it as the agent. Your client has access to it. From the client perspective, they can do all sorts of things. I need to have a better screenshot of what you can actually do in the cloud, but they can share the HouseMaster report. If there's somebody else that didn't get a copy of it, they can share a link to it. They can share a PDF. They can download a PDF. They can create a repair list. So there's actually a tool in there that basically, if the item was rated fair or poor, you can check which ones you want to include. Like, let's say it's a buyer and they want to say, hey, these are the things I'd like to talk to the seller about, maybe renegotiate or maybe see if they'll fix. They can create a list that includes the exact rating and comment of that item to share with the seller. You can estimate the cost of home improvement projects. This is good for sellers or buyers. You basically have to go into the tool. You type in what type of project it is. It's either, let's say it's a replace the roof or, install new windows. And if that project type is in that database, which is the database that comes from Home Advisor, then it will give them a range of costs based on similar projects done in their zip code or in their area. So it's not going to tell somebody how much it costs in New Jersey to install new windows when they're in California. So that's pretty cool because it's region specific, and not all the projects are in there that you might look up, but there's a good number of them, and it's some easy free thing to do if you really want to know what it costs to do some of these different things that might have been called out on the report. As a home seller, maybe not as important, but home buyer, you can track home maintenance tasks. You can schedule reminders for yourself. So I always do this. When did I change out the air filter? The heater filter. I don't remember. I write it on the calendar. I can't find the calendar. So, I can go in and say, hey, I changed out the heater filter on this date and send myself a reminder to do it again in 3 months. That sort of thing. You can save all sorts of documents related to the home. So it's yet another place to save items, but maybe it makes sense to save all the things related to the house, especially if it's a new house for you, in one spot. You can they even have a place in there again for buyers. You can document the room sizes, paint colors, and that sort of thing. So from the client's perspective, there's a lot of extra, and I think a lot of people barely scratch the surface of what they can do with it, but hopefully some people out there are really taking advantage of it. So here's the repair list generator. It will let you choose which ones you want to list, and will include, like I said, the actual comment and any photos and that sort of thing. Repair estimate tool. You're seeing the search. What type of project are you looking at? roof replacement, asphalt shingles. Here's your low, average, and high range, which is pretty helpful. Like I said, this doesn't always have what you're looking for, but when it does, that's a starting point. Because I would have thought it cost $20,000 to replace a roof, but according to this, no more than 11 or 10 or 10 or 11. This is another area that I think a lot of people don't know about. That's particular to agents. So this is an example of the HouseMaster Cloud. If I'm logged in as a client, a buyer, or a seller, and we have done an inspection for you, here's the home that we did. I can get to my report. I can schedule maintenance reminders. You can track, I forgot, the recall alerts. You keep a digital inventory. But here's the cool thing for agents. This would be me, and it drives me nuts because it says, inspector, and I didn't do the inspection. I wish I could have my team in there, but here's you. If you want to, you have a login to HouseMaster Cloud. When we do a report for you, you have a login. You can go in and put your photo, you can put your contact information, and every time your client looks at their report, or even goes in years after the sale and looks at, something to do with their home because they're using cloud for document storage or whatever, here's your information. So that's pretty cool. I'm not going to go into how to do that, but if anybody's interested, let me know, and I will put together a little video of how you can add that. That's free marketing, really. So here's a couple of things I said when we don't use your client's information. We do, but for very specific things. And there's two specific things I'll tell you about. One, and they're related. One is HouseMaster Connects. So this will work for sellers or buyers. Again, maybe a little bit more advantageous for buyers who know where they're going. They have a new address in mind they're moving to. It doesn't have to be within California. It can be anywhere in the country. Basically, we have a Connects team that is designed to help them set up their utilities and their cable, systems, internet, that sort of thing, phone. So instead of them having to make a bunch of phone calls to set all these up, maybe they don't even know where to start because they're moving to a new area. They don't even know what company services that area. They will get a call if we have their phone number. They will get a call from the Connects team. It is legit. And they will ask, like, what is the address you're moving to, or what is the address, that we can help you connect these utilities with. And it's free. It's free for the clients. It can save them a lot of time. They don't have to do it. It's optional. They can say, no, please don't call me. And we won't bug them again. But so after their inspection appointment, they will get a call and then can decide whether they want help with that sort of thing or not. If you're like, look, I just want help with the utilities, I want to know the electric and the gas and the water company and trash or whatever, that's fine. I'm going to do my own internet. Cool. They'll help with whatever you need. And a lot of times, they will ask for certain information that will help them basically get the call and get the actual service started to set up with that utility. So it really does save a lot of time if you work with them. The other thing that clients will get, sellers and buyers, is some emails that are related to buyer benefits. Connects, they recently changed the program so that Connects is it's all kind of wrapped into one thing. But basically, in the HouseMaster Cloud, there is a link simply called benefits. And if you go there will be coupons. The big one that used to be there, and I think is still there, is like 10% off at Home Depot on up to, $1,000 or up to, it was $2,000 or something. I apologize. I should be more familiar with that, but there's just different sorts of coupons and savings, and they do change from time to time. So again, it's just another benefit for the HouseMaster customers who choose to take advantage of that. And like I said, we will email them with these offers and they can opt out anytime. And then the last item here that I wanted to mention is we recently partnered with a company called WTG. They do flood zone determination reports, or flood certs. So they will look at the current FEMA maps. If there's a proposed change to a FEMA map that might be coming down the road, they're going to include that. And for the low price of $30, your client can add on a flood zone report that is up to date. In addition to that, they have experts. So the examples they gave me is, let's say the insurance company or the lender thinks that this property that they're buying is in a flood zone. well, their report shows that it's not, they will go to bat, like they will talk to the mortgage company, the lender, and go to bat for you because their data doesn't agree with what the lender has. And a lot of times the lender has outdated data. So that's one advantage of using them, because they will actually, they're not lawyers, but they will go to bat and do whatever they need to do to convince whoever is saying, giving the wrong information if it disagrees with their information. The other thing is that if you order a flood cert at the time you're getting the inspection, especially as a seller, but even as a buyer, you're going to get that information a lot earlier in the process than you would normally get it. The client is, and they can really be in the know and kind of have peace of mind. If you're not sure, especially in California, a lot of reports about flooding and big flood and 100-year flood and all this coming out. That's actually when I added the service, because I thought, man, this is some area that we may not really consider in California, but a lot of us probably need to be thinking about it. So again, you can order that separately. If you never ordered anything from us, you can still call and say, I'd like a flood report on this property. It's $30, and that can be with or without another home inspection. And that is all I have. Things I would like to know from you, or what questions you have, what information or maybe things I've touched on that you want more information about. Are there any sorts of other inspections that we may be missing out on that we could offer to your clients and that would help you and them?
Yeah, I have one question about new home inspection. Well, I mean the new home warranty.
New home warranty.
Yeah, home warranty inspection. Do you do that? They have 11 months.
Right.
Home warranty inspection, or 10-year. Do you do 10-year warranty inspection too?
I know we've done the 11-month inspections, and that's a good one. I always forget. So thank you. We do the 11-month. I'm sure we could do 5-year, 10-year. Sometimes the farther you get out, it's more into the structural things. So, if it's, let's say, we do with the foundation or the roofing, we might not be your best bet the farther out you go, because again, we're doing that visual inspection. But certainly if you want us to take a look at the foundation, you want us to take a look at the roof, we're going to tell you if there's anything obviously wrong, but we might also recommend, like a structural engineer if you're concerned. 11-month though is usually pretty straightforward. It's that stuff, as well as like, are the appliances working the way they should and that sort of thing. Typically what we do with those is we just do our normal home inspection, but I have offered, to send us the warranty ahead of time. We'll make sure we're looking at the things that are going to expire at that 12-month period. New construction is another area that I just want to make sure my team is well versed in, because there is such a thing as a pre-drywall inspection. And if we're off of those, I want to make sure that we know what we're doing with those. But obviously, if it's a new home and it's completely built, I myself have purchased 2 new homes in my life, and both of them had problems. I had home inspections on them before I got into HouseMaster, and was happy I did. So if it is definitely a new home, but it's completely, pretty much done, we're happy to do that. A lot of times the builders don't like us to do that, but we're happy to do those as well. Post-closing inspections. That's a new term that we're kind of coining. There's a buyer who had to waive the home inspection, or felt they had to, in order to have their offer accepted, which happened a lot this year. And we'll go in, we'll do the same inspection. Now it might be too late to affect your decision, but at least you're going to know what you got, So all of those are basically the same type of inspection, very thorough, very comprehensive.
So do some buyers usually get your home inspection at the walkthrough?
Yes, and they can do that as well. So that would be pre-closing. So yeah, I want to buy this home, and I really don't want to, the inspection was done a month ago or whatever. I don't really want to get my own inspection for whatever reason. Yes, we will send our inspector back out there, walk through the report that we did for the seller, and there is a form we can transfer, officially transfer that report to the buyer. It doesn't happen very often. I think we don't do a good job of communicating that it's available. And we should, because a lot of times we get buyers come back to us and, we're like, well, we didn't do the inspection for you, and So that kind of puts them in a bind. I think that fee is typically $195. I mean, it's pretty affordable.
That's good to know. And also maybe the pandemic is over, right? And I heard about your virtual walkthrough or something.
Yes, a lot of offices are doing virtual walkthroughs. I'm sorry to say, I don't think my team is really technically savvy enough to do that. If we have a report, your client has a report, we're certainly happy to walk through it. But walking through a home with a camera is probably not something that we would be able to offer.
I see you're separate in 6 area, and one of them is San Joaquin Valley, Stockton. So that includes the Discovery Bay, right? And your team covered that too?
What was the area?
Discovery Bay.
Discovery Bay.
San Joaquin Valley, Stockton, Tracy.
That's a good question. I think so. I'm still sharing my screen, aren't I? It's all right.
Yeah, and your second, your third slide.
Let's see. I'm still learning all the different areas of California, so I just have to look
that's in next to Brentwood.
Oh, next to Brentwood, yeah. For sure.
Okay.
If I go to our website. We have, here's the sample report. I can send you guys a link to that. So, you know, oh, dang it. Yeah, we do have an article out here. I need to get my IT team to re-add it. That says basically what cities, our price sheet includes what counties we do. So, you know, definitely anything near Brentwood would be included. And we do, a note on that, we do have different price lists for different areas, obviously, just because that is, you know, the markets are very different. You know, we're talking Sacramento versus Tracy versus, you know, San Jose. So we've tried to accommodate that as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
And the most important thing I forgot to add is we offer a 10% discount. So, and I send you these prices that are our list prices. The agents get a 10% discount on any standard inspection service. So for we don't offer it on like the ADUs and that sort of thing, the add-ons. But if it's, you know, the actual home inspection fee, you get a 10% discount off the top.
Okay, so the price sheet is already sent it to Kristen.
I think that I spoke with Stella.
Oh, Stella. Okay.
Yeah.
Stella. Okay.
So I can reach out to her. I'll send the price sheets. I'll send a link to the sample report, and I'll get that other page back up that shows where we actually inspect. But again, if there's ever an address that you're curious about, just let us know. We can tell you real quick.
Okay. I just give you my email.
Okay, that works too. Yeah, that works. I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay, I see it. Thank you. Okay, any other questions?
That's pretty good. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate your time, and gosh, we did just an hour, so that's perfect.
You have a nice weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Okay.
And happy Veterans Day. If you have any veterans on the call, I'm sorry, I forgot to say thank you as well.
Yep.
Take care.
Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
Day.
Thank you. No worries. Thank you.